Hello, listeners. This video discusses a three-act play written by Irish playwright John Millington Synge, The Playboy of the Western World. This is a play which was performed at the Abbey Theatre, Dublin, on 26 January 1907. The play is set in Michael James Flaherty's public house in County Mayo, which is located on the west coast of Ireland. The play is set in the early 1900s. Before we move into the play's summary, let us see about the author of the play, John Millington Synge. He was an Irish playwright, poet, writer, and a collector of folklore. He was a public key figure in the Irish literary revival. He was born in the year 1871 and died in the year 1909. Synge's best play is The Playboy of the Western World, which first poorly received attention. Synge co-founded the Abbey Theatre, which is in Dublin. He co-founded this theatre with W.B. Yeats, Lady Gregory, Sean O'Casey. His play, The Playboy of the Western World, is a depiction of Irish peasants, and it depicted about the idealization of parricide. Parricide meaning a person deliberately killing one's own father and mother, or spouse, children, or a close relative. And the play also portrays the hostile audience and the riots in Dublin. Synge's major works include In the Shadow of the Glen 1903, Riders to the Sea 1904, The Well of the Saints 1905, and The Thinker's Wedding 1909. Synge's work concentrated on the working class Catholics in rural Ireland. He was passionate towards music. He died at a very early age. He died at 37. He has left few works that are widely regarded as having high cultural significance. His work, The Playboy of the Western World, was first performed on 26 January 1907 at the Abbey Theatre. And the play is about a story of Christy Mahone, who's a young man running away from his farm, and he was claimed that he killed his own father. The play is specifically known for its poetic, evocative language of Hiberno English, meaning it is Irish English, also formerly called as Anglo-Irish. So in this play, Synge celebrates the lyrical speech of the Irish language. Let us look forward for the characters of the play. Christopher Mahone, otherwise called Christy Mahone, he is a central character of the play. He arrives at Michael Flaherty's village. He arrives to the village pub, hoping to find shelter. And when he reveals about his crime of murdering his tyrannical father, who is old Mahone, he quickly wins the respect of the local community. The local community view him as a kind of heroic and a mythic figure. The jovial owner of the village pub, named Michael Flaherty, he offers him a job as a penny pot boy at the pub. He also promises Christy of giving him a better life. When the villagers ask Christy to narrate his story, Christy grows in confidence and his nervous sentences become more orative. He uses rich passages of poetic description. At times, when he is attacked by a horror figure of his father coming into the pub, Christy hides and asks Widow Quinn's help. He breaks the secret that his father isn't dead. Next is Pagan Mike. Pagan Mike, full name is Margaret Flaherty. She is a beautiful young barmaid at the village pub and the daughter of Michael Flaherty. Pegane is engaged to wed her second cousin, Sean King. But when Christy Mahon arrives at the pub, Pegane is impressed by the bravery of his deed, that is, killing his own father, old Mahon. She also competes with Widow Quinn for Christy's affection. Widow Quinn, she's a woman of 30 years and she acts as a kind of rival to Peggy Mike. She spills her lust towards Christy Mahon, and it is found that Widow Quinn has killed her husband and has had to bury her children. Old Mahon, who is the father of Christopher Mahon, Christy thinks that he has killed his father with a blow to the head and describes him as tyrannical, rude, and a drunkard. Tyrannical meaning a person who is cruel. Unfortunately, old Mahon turns up at the village pub looking for his son. He thinks that Christy is a loser, too lazy to work, and also too shy to speak to women. Old Mahon wants to take revenge against his son for striking him over the head with a loy. Loy meaning a long narrow spade which is used in Ireland. Sean Keogh is the Pegane Mike's fat and fair second cousin. Pegane is at the due to marry him. The couple was only waiting for a special dispensation from the local priest, he is Father Relly, to give them permission for the two cousins to wed. He is a coward and a God-fearing person, and he is too scared to spend time or to spend the night alone with Peggy Mike. And whenever Peggy Mike expresses her worry of being alone in the pub, he never accompanies her. Sean is threatened by the new arrival, that is Christy Mahon, because he seemed to be brave, daring, and attractive. Sean considers Christy as his rival. He also convinces Christy by offering a ticket on a ferry to America and also provides him some of his best clothes. He also tries to bribe Widow Quinn to marry Christy in order to remove the threat of his engagement with Peggy Mike. Michael James Flaherty, that is Pehin's father, he is a jovial owner of the village pub. He takes authority over his daughter Peggy, of whom she should marry. Next character is Billy O'Cullen, otherwise called Jimmy Farrell, who is one of the regulars at Michael Flatheart's pub. He regularly visits the pub and a good friend of the owner. And when old Mahon comes to the pub to look for his son, Philly begins to suspect that the man is Christy's father. He also identifies that Christy's story of killing his own father might not be true. Sarah Tansey. Tansey is one of the 4 giggly young village girls who live near Michael Flatheart's pub. This character appears in the second act in order to hear Christy Mahon's story of killing his father. Sarah also brings Christy some gifts of duck eggs from her farm. Let us see an outline of the story before we deal the summary of the play. The play is set on the west coast of County Mayo. County Mayo is a county in Ireland, which is in the west of Ireland. Christy Mahon comes inside Flahert's pub. He claims that he has killed his father and ran away, and he has killed his father with a law into his head. Flaherty and the village members, hearing this, they praise Christy for his boldness, and Flaherty's daughter, who is called Peggy, she falls in love with Christy. Peggy is already engaged with Sean. After hearing the story of Christy, the whole town and the village members take him as a hero, and many other women in the village get attracted towards Christy, including the widow Quinn. but she becomes unsuccessful of seducing Christie. In addition to this, Christie also impresses the village women by his victory in a donkey race. Eventually, Christie's father, Mahone, arrives to the village. He arrives to Flaherd's pub, and when the town's flock realize that Christie's father is alive, everyone, including Peggy, she shuns him as a liar and a coward. Christie, in order to regain Peggy's love and respect of the townspeople, he attacks his father the second time. This time it seems that old Mahone is really dead, but the townspeople, instead of praising Christie, they bind and prepare to hang him to avoid being implicated into the crime. To Christie's surprise, his life is saved when his father comes alive, but his father was terribly beaten and he is bloodied. It is understood that his father has survived his son's second attack. Eventually, as Christie and his father leave to wander the world, they both reconcile. Sean, who is already engaged with Peggy, he asks her to marry him. Peggy now laments of betraying and losing Christie, and she says that she has lost the only playboy of the Western world. This play was adapted into theatrical form. Charles H. Fisher translated this play into German, and the play was adapted in 1984 by Trinidadian playwright Mustafa Matura. There were also other versions of Chinese in the year 2006. Let us learn the summary of this play, The Playboy of the Western World, which takes place in a rundown pub in the countryside of the northwest of Ireland, and this play takes place in 1900s. The pub's owner is Michael James Flaherty. He is a publican and the owner of the pub. He has a daughter who is a barmaid named Margaret Flaherty, who's otherwise known as Peggy Mike. She is making a list of items that she needs for her upcoming wedding with Sean Keong. Sean Keong is her second cousin and they were already engaged, and they are waiting for the priest's permission. Whenever both Sean and Peggy meet together, Peggy always tells him that she is worried of being left alone in the pub all night. Her father, the pub owner Michael Flatheart, leaves her all alone in the pub. Sean is too afraid of what the local priest, Father Relly, would think about them if they were left alone all night before wedding. Especially the couple were waiting for the priest's permission to approve their marriage between cousins. Peggy, knowing this, she betrays him for being so God-fearing. Peggy thinks that Sean is a coward. Michael Flaherty has two friends, Jimmy Farrell and Philly O'Cullen. The three men always loiter around the village. The three men will be awake all night and they will be involved in drinking. And when Peggy tells her father of a fear of being alone at night in the pub, all three men, Michael, Jimmy and Philly, they convince Sean to stay with her at the pub. Once Shagun runs to the pub, thinking that someone is chasing him, and that man is Christy Mahone, who comes into the pub. The man is tired, he's frightened and looks dirty. Michael, Jimmy, Philly and Peggy, they interrogate Christy about the nature of his crime. Christy eventually reveals about his patricide. Patricide is killing one's own father, mother, cousin, sibling, friend, spouse, and the like. In case of Christy, he claims that he has murdered his father, Mahone. He also explains the scene of killing his father by striking him over the head with the loi when they both were in a potato field. The locals in the village, they assume that Christie might have a good reason to kill his father. They mightily get impressed of Christie's act and they think that he is courageous. Considering this opportunity, Michael offers Christie a vacant job of a pot boy in the pub, so with which Peggy may have someone to keep her safe overnight. Michael, Jimmy, and Pilly, they are awake. As usual, they drink all night. Sean, who is worried about Christie's presence in the pub, he offers to stay with Peggy. And eventually, when Christie and Peggy meet together in the pub, Christie gives more details about his life and the murder of his father. He explains that his father is a tyrannical character, and during the conversation, she calls him handsome, and the two develop an attraction towards each other. Soon later, Widow Quinn, who's a 30-year-old woman who killed her own husband, arrives to the pub. Widow Quinn comes with the news from Father Raleigh. Father Raleigh has given instruction of Sean taking Peggy with him, but Peggy resists going with Sean. The two women, Peggy and Widow Quinn, they deliberately want to stay in the pub with Christie. Widow Quinn also tries to seduce Christie, but her plan becomes unsuccessful. The second act begins at the next morning. Christie, who's overwhelmed about the attention of Peggy and Widow Quinn, admires himself, that is, he admires his face in a looking glass. In the pub, four local village girls arrive. They are Susan Brady, Sarah Tansey, Honor Blake, and Nellie McLaughlin. They come to the pub. They are much excited to catch a glimpse of the young man who killed his father. But Christie, who is shy to meet them, he hides inside the pub. But they find him and give him some gifts from their farms. The gifts are nothing but dug eggs. At that moment, they find a looking glass, that is a mirror, that he hides behind his back. Now, Widow Quinn arrives to the pub and tells the village girls to prepare a breakfast for Christie. Upon Widow Quinn's and the girls' request, Christie tells the story of how he killed his father using a chicken bone as a theoretical property. Christie, now gaining more attention evidently from the village girls, he enjoys the attention. Peggy, who's jealous of the girls, she shoos Widow Quinn and the girls away. Peggy, in order to threaten Christie and in order to keep Christie away from the girls, she just tells that those girls are much in contact with local police. So the threaten is because the local police may take action against him. So that's the reason she says a lie there. Knowing Peggy's attention towards Christie, Sean tries to take away her attention from Christie. Sean offers Christie a one-way ticket to America and offers his best clothes in exchange for Christie leaving the pub forever. So this was an ultimate fear of Sean, that Christie is a hindrance for the marriage between Peggy and Sean. But Christie takes the clothes alone and refuses to receive the ticket. Widow Quinn, she gets in hand with Sean. As she is attracted towards Christie, Sean offers a plan that in exchange for a reward, Widow Quinn must marry Christie so that Peggy would be left free. So Sean offers a ram, a cow, and a way across his property. Just as Christie is moving around with his smart clothes, he spots his father, old Mahone. His father is wounded, but he is not dead. He wandered near the pub. Christie, in fear, he hides behind the door. And Mahon comes in and asks Widow Quinn if she has seen his son. He describes him as a fool and the laughing joke of every woman. Knowing this, Christie begs Widow Quinn not to tell Pegane that his father is still alive. Taking this as a chance, Widow Quinn suggests Christie to marry her instead of pursuing Pegane. Christie did not accept this, but he accepted that he will give in exchange provisions from the pub when he marries Peggy. Act 3 begins as Jimmy and Philly are in a conversation discussing about Christie's victories at the village games and sports. So this moment, old Mahon returns. He shows the two women his head owned and explains that it was his son who hit him. Now Philly becomes suspicious. Widow Quinn enters and she is shocked to see Mahon again. She tries to convince Jimmy and Philly that Mahon is a madman who, having earlier said that his wound was inflicted by a thinker. Though Widow Quinn changes the story, both Philly and Jimmy are suspected that the old man might be Christie's father. Immediately, Jimmy and Philly they go after Mahone and the room is empty. Only Widow Quinn is left inside the pub. Christie now arrives. He is surrounded with a crowd of admirers that includes Pegane and some of the village girls. The crowd gives him some prizes for winning their sports games. Taking this as a chance, Christie convinces Pegane to marry him. He uses poetic language to conjure an image of their future together. Michael enters the pub. Christie convinces her father and asks him of marrying Christie. Michael also accepts the wedding as Michael joins Pegane and Christie's hand together to celebrate their engagement. The third time Mahone arrives inside the pub, he is followed by crowd and Widow Quinn. Now Mahone runs next to Christie and starts to beat him. Christie also tries to convince everyone that Mahone is a stranger. Christie now desperately chases Mahon out of the pub with a lie. Now Mahon he reveals the truth that Christie did not kill him and he is alive. He has survived the wound. Now the village members they decide to hang Christie and bind him in a rope. Pegane, still furious, he threatens Christie with fire. Christie fights back aggressively and bites Sean's leg. And old Mahon now crawls inside the pub. He asks why Christie is tied up and he also asks for his son back. Mahon loosens Christie's rope and insists his son will be leaving with him. And as they leave, Christie states boldly that for now on he will be the gallant captain and his father the heathen slave. Now Christie leaving the pub, he blesses the whole community, that is the village people. As Christie is gone now, Sean tries to take the attention of Pegane and talks about their engagement. But she is still could not forget Christie and she cries aloud saying that she has lost him surely. I have lost the only playboy of the Western world. This was her last comment and that's how the play ends. Let us see the themes of the play. Heroism. So heroism is carried by Christie Mahone. As Christie arrives in a small village in rural Ireland, he is quickly deemed as a hero. Synge in this play has portrayed the isolated location because the pub is situated in the rural place. The pub is always dark. The pub's owner, along with his friends, he always drinks. The pub is located in a deserted place. Synge in this play has used the power of language to express the poetry and musicality of Irish English. The next theme is the authority. The authority of old Mahone, that is father to the son, Christy Mahone, is revealed, and that is why Christy Mahone wants to escape his father. That's why he tried to beat his father and escape from their house. The next is the authority of Michael towards his daughter, Peggy. He is also authoritative over his daughter's marriage life. The symbol used in this play is a loy, which is a type of a narrow spade traditionally used only in Ireland for cultivating potatoes. So the law here expresses that the setting of this novel happens in Irish, where people live rural life and also where people do manual labor. Hope this video helped you. If you have query regarding this video, please write it down. And if you have any suggestion to make videos, please write those topics below in the comment section. Thank you for listening.